Welcome back to another video, guys. So it's going to be a very interesting week when it comes to Xbox news and gaming news. We're going to get a lot of information with the FTC versus Xbox case that is going on. And we already are starting to see a lot of stuff come out previously to these next 2 days, as they are the next 2 days of the trial, from exclusive information for games coming over to Xbox, as well as Xbox's strategy with the Xbox Series X and cloud gaming. So we have a lot to talk about in this video. Let's just jump right into it. So first of all, let's start off with this. Yesterday, we talked about the Sega and Bungie acquisition talks that Phil Spencer had written an email to try to enter into these talks, get permission to go ahead and start talking with Sega, start talking with Bungie in terms of potential acquisition. Now, we don't know what has come out of that. If maybe they're talking right now, maybe they're not, who knows? Or if this thing is completely just didn't go through and they decided not even to pursue Sega or IO Interactive or Bungie or any of these other companies that they have been looking to acquire. We know that the strategy of Xbox is to continue to grow out their content portfolio so they can become the leader in subscription and cloud gaming. I mean, currently, I would say that they are. They want to be able, though, to release consistent first party content all the time. This year, I think, has been a good example as to what can happen, where we're going to be getting at the very minimum, if you don't include all of the expansions and all of that type of stuff, 5 first party games into Xbox Game Pass, with the release of Forza Motorsport and Starfield coming out later this year. And then next year, we already know, unless there are delays, we have Flight Simulator 2024, Hellblade 2, and Avowed. So 2024 is really shaping up to be a phenomenal year on top of 2023 and that ball of momentum that Xbox has been talking about, where they essentially want to release a game every single quarter. We're at that point now. They're there, and we should be continuously seeing this as the years go on. But when it comes to buyouts and acquisitions and all of that type of stuff, there was a list that has been published of 100+ game developers that Xbox was looking at. And the list includes a massive amount of big name developers out there. Bungie, which we know got bought by PlayStation, CD Projekt Red, Certain Affinity, who we know is working on Halo right now, which with rumored Project Tatanka, which is that battle royale style game mode for Halo, and maybe whatever else they could potentially be working on. Crytek, which I think would be a great acquisition when you think about the games that come out from Crytek. You think about Rise, Son of Rome, how great of a game that was with the release of the Xbox One. I mean, that is a game, if you still look at today graphically, it holds up compared to most games that are coming out. 4A Games, which is owned by the Embracer Group, I mean, that's now probably out of the question. Digital Extremes, From Software, probably never going to happen. Hello Games, IO Interactive, Valerian, which would be a massive acquisition, I think, with the Baldur's Gate series. People Can Fly, a game that we know now that they are actually working on another exclusive game coming over to Xbox, and a developer that released Outriders into Game Pass day one. So that is one that potentially could happen. Remedy Entertainment, Starbreeze, Techland, and then a bunch of other publishers here like 505 Games, Focus Home Interactive, which I think would be a publisher that if you're Xbox, or even if you're Sony or you're Nintendo, anyone out there, and you're looking at a publisher right now that is up and coming, that is continuously releasing extremely good games, extremely high quality games, Focus Home Interactive, I think, would be one of those publishers. I would love to see, if Xbox was thinking about a publisher to purchase, Focus, I think, would be great. Paradox Interactive, and then Sega. We did hear that they were actually opening up talks, or wanting to open up talks with Sega, as that would be a publisher that would very much help them grow internationally in the Asian markets. And they already have a very strong relationship dating all the way back to the Dreamcast days, where, I mean, they partnered on that console itself. We've already seen tons of stuff coming out from Sega onto Xbox Game Pass, with now Persona coming out, the day one releases of Persona 3 Remake and Persona 5 Tactics. So they have a great relationship, and I would not be surprised whatsoever if sometime in the future, if Sega is looking to sell, that they would consider Microsoft and Xbox as a buyer for their IPs. I think that is something that is definitely possible going forward. So they have a huge list here, and that is just a small amount of that list. But Xbox is obviously looking to continue acquisitions after Activision Blizzard, because the goal of Game Pass and the goal of subscription is to continuously have enticing content for people to want to subscribe and log in and play those games. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe they won't do anything for a very long time, or maybe there's something up their sleeve that they just can't announce right now because of what is going on here with Activision Blizzard. Now, let's jump over here to this next piece of news that did come out. And it is something we've heard rumors about, and it has to do with IO Interactive and working on an exclusive Xbox game called Project Dragon. It has now been confirmed that this is true and that this is another game coming over exclusively to the Xbox platform. It says here on June 26, 2023, documents from a court filing in the FTC versus Microsoft Activision Blizzard case leaked. Among the leaks was confirmation of an Xbox exclusive game currently in development, and the platforms listed under the games were Xbox and PC and nothing more. And this again here is from IO Interactive, and it is Project Dragon. As you can see, if we zoom in here, well, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see it. And it says Project Dragon released to be determined in platforms PC and the Xbox Series X and S. And in genre, it is an RPG shooter. So that's the type of game we should be expecting from this. And I mean, IO Interactive is a great developer with the Hitman series. So it's pretty exciting to see that another game is coming over to Xbox, that they're working with them to get more content. And this is, again, it goes all along their strategy. We can even relate it back to the Matt Booty email that we did see, where he was talking about having the amount of money to be able to outspend Sony, to be able to be the Disney of video games, where it is the main place you go for gaming content. Whereas in subscription services, you look at the major players in movies and in TV shows in terms of subscription. You have Netflix's, you have Prime Video, potentially, you have Disney, and then there's all these smaller subscription services under there that really don't have nearly as much of an impact as the bigger ones like the Netflix. And Xbox is trying to be that Netflix. They're trying to be the biggest participant, the biggest company in subscription for video games. And to do that, you need to be able to continuously get content, and Project Dragon is going to be one of those games that will be added to their subscription service sometime in the future. Whenever this game comes out, who knows how far along this game actually is. Now let's jump over here. There was some more information here about the Xbox Series X sales. Now we've seen these sales numbers, and in the last quarter or so, I think there was the number in the financial reports that they fell like 30%. And people were wondering why the Series X was falling so much. And one of the explanations that did come out was because of supply. There's been supply issues from the very beginning, but at this point, I would say the supply issues overall, if the companies go out there and want to make as many consoles as they can, they're able to meet the demand of what the consumers are looking for in terms of picking up a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. But when it came to the Xbox Series X, it seemed like they were still having supply issues. Even where I live, I look around and it's a little bit better now. But over the last couple of months, or over the beginning months of 2023, PS5s are popping up everywhere. Like, you could go into a store and pick up a PS5, but you couldn't pick up an Xbox Series X still. And it was very odd why that was happening. And now we kind of understand what is going on here from some more information that what has come out in terms of documents for Xbox. It says here, this is from The Verge. The Microsoft sacrificed Xbox Series X sales for long-term ambition in the cloud. Microsoft has been sacrificing growing its Xbox Series X and S sales numbers since launch as a trade-off for investment in cloud gaming content. In an internal email exchange between Phil Spencer and CFO Tim Stewart in December of 2020, the pair discussed the reasons behind lowering the Xbox console volumes. The email has been revealed as part of the FTC versus Microsoft hearing, and some of it is redacted, but here are the important parts as to what it says. It says here that, from a strategy perspective, I believe in our trade-offs for cloud and content in gaming over console volume. And we had heard that many of the Xbox Series X's that were being produced were being put into the server stack for Xbox cloud gaming. And obviously, this here is confirming that. He says here, with our strategy and opportunity, console volume will still be the thing we constrain to grow our long-term ambition. So I mean, there you have it. There's more detail in this email, but at the end of the day, this is what is going on here with the Xbox Series X and console supply. I don't know if this is still continuing because this was an email back in 2020, 2023 may be different, 2024 may be different. Maybe they've surpassed the threshold that they needed to hit in order to continue to want to grow their cloud gaming strategy. But from Xbox's perspective, the cloud gaming is something that is the future, and they need to be able to bolster the future with cloud gaming, which is why they've sacrificed, you could say, Xbox console volume for their cloud bets going forward. Now we know that the cloud gaming market is still nascent. It's extremely expensive to try to get into. We've seen Google Stadia fail. And for myself personally, from a gamer's perspective, I don't really care too much yet that much about cloud gaming. I use it sometimes. It's not something I use all the time in terms of something that's my go-to of gaming, but I do use it for things like on the Steam Deck, and it works relatively well. But overall, if I had to choose personally, I'd rather than put more emphasis on the actual Xbox Series X and S consoles themselves and developing better consoles going forward into the next generation and beyond, and maybe even a slim version of the console. But when you see things like this, and people are continuously asking about mid-generation refreshes or slim versions of consoles from Xbox, stuff like this really shows that probably isn't happening this generation, with them focusing on cloud subscription, all the other stuff, which will be the future. And I know it's, as a console gamer myself, I'm not a big fan of all of these other things. I love playing on my console. I love downloading games natively or playing on my PC, all that type of stuff. But the future is this, whether we like it or not. And you look at even PlayStation side of things, they are moving towards that. They're moving towards that more slowly because they have such a big market share of consoles and they can still really work off of that. But we're seeing the changes in PlayStation Plus that they've created, opening up PlayStation PC, opening up mobile, and Jim Ryan recently coming out talking about expanding out with cloud gaming. You're seeing even things like Project Q, which is a hint as to what they are going for, where they know it's not going to be just playing on the console in the future, and expanding the business out in more ways is going to lead to the long-term success and overall who is going to be at the top of the gaming market. Xbox is seeing this, and this is why they are going along these ways. But I think going forward now for the rest of this generation, the Series X should be increased in supply, especially with a game like Starfield coming out. They know that people are going to want to go out and purchase the console just to play that game. And when it comes to Starfield, it's officially confirmed now. We talked about this in the video yesterday, but now it's officially confirmed. The standard editions for Xbox and PC will come with a physical disc. So that official tweet that came out by Bethesda's support was a mistake. They then went ahead and deleted the tweet, but that was an error. But the physical editions 100% now will be coming with a physical disc. So that is a good thing, because releasing a box with just a game code inside would make absolutely no sense whatsoever. And we have this here just as confirmation. And we saw that the Spanish support page had mentioned this already. They were the ones that actually put it out correctly, that there will be a disc. But we have this. It says, hello, partners. It depends on the edition. For example, the standard has a disc, while the Constellation edition has a code engraved on the collector's item. So there you have it. I mean, if you're getting the Constellation edition, you will only have a download code, but at least it comes on a collector's item that you're going to be able to keep. One of the things that does annoy me is when a collector's edition is just put out download codes. I like physical games. I know that is going away and is eventually going to end up where games are only released digitally. We even just saw Alan Wake 2 announce that they are only releasing their game digitally. But if you're going to put out a physical edition of a game, put a disc in the box. So there it is. In terms of Starfield and whether a disc is coming, don't worry. If you're getting a standard edition, you will have a physical disc. And finally, let's end it off here with this email to get excited, I guess, for Indiana Jones, because this sounds very, very exciting. This is from Stephen Totillo, who has an email here, and it says here, Bethesda Machine Games Indiana Jones is something Todd Howard has been trying to get made for a decade. Anyone who has seen the pitch has immediately said, oh my God, I have to play the game right now. Pete Hines' email from 2021, which is now evidence in the FTC versus Microsoft case. And what we are also understanding about Indiana Jones is there was information that has come out that it is going to be a first-person game, which is very interesting because I was thinking Indiana Jones, and I was in my mind thinking about the recent Tomb Raider trilogy that came out, which I absolutely loved the remake of it. And I was thinking it would be something along those lines. But again, we look at it's coming from Machine Games, who makes Wolfenstein, which are first person shooters. So they're going to have first person with also apparently some third person elements mixed in. But these are elements that it's not like the Skyrim or a Starfield coming up where you're going to be able to switch between third person and first person. But overall, from everything this email is saying, is something to be extremely excited about when it comes to Indiana Jones. And we did recently find out during the FTC, Activision, and Xbox case that it is exclusive to Xbox. But I'm going to leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.